The Dallas Cowboys went 1-15 3 years before winning the first Super Bowl of their 1990s dynasty. The Seahawks went 5-11 just 4 years before winning Super Bowl 48. And Bill Belichick led the Patriots to a 5-11 record the year before their first Super Bowl victory. How did these champions turn it around so quickly? Believe it or not, it's just 4 steps. 4 incredibly difficult, time-draining, insanely expensive steps. Step 1. A GM and coach working together in a shared vision. That's the very first thing any team needs for a successful rebuild. The potential catch is that organizations need to be patient as a GM and coach execute their plan. But if you don't have the right coach or front office, you potentially waste several years of everyone's lives. Just look at the Jaguars. The team's roster slowly improved over the last 4 years, but the results didn't. Gus Bradley was fired 4 years into amassing the worst coaching record in NFL history. Step 2, get extra draft picks. Your team is bad, and when your team is bad, you can't even attract quality free agents, so you need all the young, cheap talent you can get your hands on. You can do that by trading down in the draft, getting compensatory picks by letting free agents walk, and by trading your players for extra picks. The best example of this was Cowboys coach Jimmy Johnson sending Herschel Walker and some late-round draft picks to Minnesota for a massive haul that produced several key pieces of the Dallas dynasty of the 90s. Important note, you must actually use the draft picks you get for this to work. In 1999, the Saints traded their entire draft to Washington just for the right to draft Ricky Williams. Why didn't this lead to a Washington dynasty? Because they bundled 4 picks in a trade to the Bears, who wasted the picks on cigarettes and lotto tickets. Step 3, draft with a vision and coach players up. It's not enough to accumulate the draft picks and fill out the roster with cheap contracts. Cleveland had 2 first-round picks 3 times since 2012, and they Brownsed it up every time. Compare that to when Pete Carroll and GM John Schneider took over the Seahawks. They hit on early round picks and made defensive stars from late round picks that fit Carroll's defensive scheme. Cam Chancellor and Richard Sherman weren't guaranteed to be surefire NFL stars for whatever team drafted them. They were put in a system that favored their strengths and helped by a coach whose specialty is the secondary. Step 4, a quarterback. As the most difficult position in all of pro sports, quarterback is also the most important. But because good ones are so hard to acquire and so expensive, quarterback should be the last piece of the puzzle teams worry about. Assemble a good team first, and you can drop in a mediocre veteran or bring along a young prospect slowly. Russell Wilson and Tom Brady both won Super Bowls, with critics dismissing them as game managers. How not to do it? Draft Sam Bradford first overall, then watch him get destroyed as you build the most fearsome defensive line in the league. Or trade a whole bunch of picks to get a quarterback worse than Bradford. Basically, just don't be the Rams. Extra draft picks, good drafting and coaching, a common vision from front office to coach, and a quarterback who can execute it all. Rebuilding an NFL team has a straightforward blueprint, but the materials are rare and construction is a huge pain in the